All right, let's finish up the original Exorcist trilogy with Exorcist III, or Exorcist III. We got William Peter Blatty coming back here, not only to write, but also to direct. And now Friedkin was supposed to direct this one, like the first one, after the failure of the second one, at least critically anyway. And William had to come in. William, I know him. I know him personally. I just called him right before this one. Was like, "Hey, Will, I'm gonna review your movie." No, William Peter Blatty. Do I have to call him his full name? Is it like it's a fucking assassin name? I got all three names here. All right. Anyways, he took up the directing reins for this movie, and we bring in George C. Scott as Kinderman here. Which I love George C. Scott. Absolutely, I love how he just screams at people kind of for no reason sometimes. He's got a very intimidating presence when he gets angry. The way this guy yells, it's just like jarring. It's like, Jesus, man, you are a brute. Of course, I would have preferred the original actor who plays Kinderman in the first film, but I'm confused about something here. Now, I'm not an Exorcist expert by any means. I do like the franchise. I've seen the original, I don't know, 5 times. I've seen this one maybe 3 times. Um, Someone sent me this shirt. I really like this movie a lot, but it's not like I bought this on purpose because, you know, it's a very cool movie. I'm confused on something. So explain this to me. In the first one, Kinderman and Karras, I thought were meeting for the first time when he was interviewing him or interrogating him or whatever you want to call that exchange between them. And I was talking about how much I loved their exchange in the first movie. And then he's like, "Oh, you want to go to the movies with me?" And he just has this affinity for film. And he's like, "What's playing?" And then they go back and forth at each other. And he's kind of a shit to him, and they're not friendly, really. I mean, it's just, from my knowledge, this is the first time they've ever met. Now, this could be different in the book, and this might be the explanation here. But then in this, and then at the end of that movie, Karras dies. He jumps out a fucking window, and to our knowledge, he is not in contact with Karras much from that point on. But in this movie, they were best friends. And when he grabs a picture of them together and he talks about them going to the movies together and all this. What? Is that, am I missing something there? Because I could have sworn that was the, like, pretty much only interaction that they had in the first Exorcist. So is that just a change? Is that something from the book? Did I completely read that scene wrong? Am I going to have to go back and rewatch that sequence? In The Exorcist 1, I always assumed that was the first time they ever met. But when they have them in this movie, and this is the original writer coming back, you think he'd, pay attention to continuity. They're best friends. They've known each other since fucking birth, They came out of the womb, giving each other high fives and shit. I'm confused on that. Great to hear Tubular Bells here. I don't remember hearing that in the second one. Is it there? It might be. But this one, it's much more fitting. This one's much more in line with the original, which of course would make sense. The opening here with Jesus' eyes opening as the doors open, that's interesting. A Jesus' statue's eyes opening. Okay. I mean, with all the crap that happens in this, it's not all that crazy. It's just, I don't know. For some reason, that's just odd to me. All right, Brad Dourif is absolutely excellent in this movie. That said, so they bring back the original actor to play Father Karras here. So once Kinderman finds out that Karras is in this cell, he goes in there and he starts talking to him, and he looks exactly like Karras. As I said, it's the original actor. And he's talking to him, but then he comes out of the darkness and he's Brad Dourif's face, which is the original Gemini killer who killed himself, or not killed himself, I'm sorry, was put to death like X amount of years ago. But Kinderman never seems miffed by this. He never seemed. I don't know what that is. I'm guessing the only thing I can come up with is he's always seeing Karras's presence, his features, his face, and us, the audience, is seeing Brad Dourif because that's who's possessing him. But that's what's kind of weird to me, because isn't this like, did Pazuzu or some other demon, because it's supposed to be mad at Father Merrin for exorcising him, and also at Karras, obviously, for bringing him out of Reagan, and so he's wanting to punish him by keeping the Gemini killer inside of him. But is he also possessing him as well? There's two possessions going on, because then the Gemini killer is put outwards into other people's bodies, and he takes possession of, this woman who goes over to Kinderman's house and tries to kill his family, and then he takes possession of a different character. Like, so he keeps sending him out. So he has this ability to possess anyone at any time. So he just stays in Damien Karras's body because it torments him. But if he's possessed, does he even know that he's being? Because he says he has to rebuild like his brain or his synapses or something in it for like 15 straight years. So was he even coherent? But then when they have that moment where he's in his cell and he's coming up out of the ground and he's like on a cross or something, and he's like in pain, so that's him down in hell. Isn't that enough? Like, the Gemini killer being in his body? I'm just super confused about all of that. It's a cool movie. There's a lot of great performances. There's some of the best freaking atmospheric build-up scares. One in particular that's just phenomenal. One of the best I've ever seen in my life. And if you've seen this movie, you know what exactly what I'm referencing. Is the nurse who is walking into that room, and then it gets that really close-up shot of that freaking scissors coming at her. It's an incredible sequence. This like one stationary shot, girls walking this way, this way, and then boom, like this fast pan to this thing coming at her really fast. We don't even see the decapitation or anything, but it's an extremely effective kill. George C. Scott's amazing. Freaking Brad Dourif's amazing. It's a really cool movie, but man, I'm confused while watching it. Like, wait, so why is this, like I always do. So maybe someone understands this film better than I do. I love that. Now, here is a perfect example of how you can give blah whatever dialogue to a great actor and he'll just kill it. And that is George C. Scott talking about how a carp is living in his bathtub. And he tells this anecdotal story to his buddy, and it's just a nothing scene. I mean, it doesn't play into the film at all. It's not like the carp comes and saves the day or something. It's just a funny little story that he's telling to his buddy, and it just works. It shouldn't, but because George C. Scott's so fucking amazing, that's one of those things where that could get left on the cutting room floor, but he's so charismatic and he's so funny and he's so charming and he's so scary and he just can kind of embody whatever he wants, that he can make that kind of shit work. And I like how he points out he wants to live forever, and the father's like, oh, no, you get bored, and he's like, I got hobbies. I'm the same way. I'm the same exact way. How many people are like, oh, you'd get bored. I don't want to live forever. Bullshit, you'd get bored. No, I wouldn't, man. You have any idea how many movies? It would take me 50 lifetimes to watch everything up until now. Not even if they ever didn't make any films from here on. All the TV and movies and everything that I want to personally watch. Jesus. And then books, video games, and all the different kinds of hobbies I could get into that aren't just entertainment. Please, I'd be fine living for thousands of more years. So I'm with him here. Now he says forever. Forever's 1,000 times, 1,000 times, 1,000 times, 1,000 times. Yeah, I guess eventually in the current state of being as I know it, would get bored. I'd definitely get bored after 10,000 years. I'd be like, okay, that's enough. I'm done. I've done it all. So maybe I would have a cutting off point, but I'd like to be able to make that decision what my cutting off point is. And the priest confessional kill, the voice on the other side that he's talking to is terrifying. That voice is so scary. Then his buddy, the father, oh shit, I can't remember what his name is, but whatever. He ends up in the hospital. He's the guy who gets killed. The It's a Wonderful Life's written above his head. And he comes to visit, Kinderman comes to visit him before he dies. And the dude in front of a nurse just lights up a cigarette right there in his hospital bed. No big deal. This is 1990. This was probably filmed in 89. Wow. That's not even that long ago. That's just crazy to me. Smoking in a hospital bed. Wow. That's just nuts. He even gives a little Spaceball reference when the nurse leaves. May the shorts be with you. I thought that was interesting. And then there's this like Limbo scene, maybe, or is it supposed to be? It looks like Limbo. It looks like they're like in a train station or something. But he sees like this version of Limbo, heaven, hell, something. He's walking through. One of the angels is Fabio, and another one of the angels is Patrick freaking Ewing. This scene's a little too, I don't know, it doesn't, it feels silly. It doesn't feel, it definitely does not fit the tone of this film for me. It doesn't fit the tone of the original film at all. That sequence would be way out of place in the original. I don't know. It kind of feels like a comedy. It kind of feels like a Christmas Carol knockoff. Or something. Just, it's a really weird sequence. I don't really care for it. It's a little too silly, especially seeing, as I said, seeing stuff like Fabio and Patrick Ewing in this like limbo area. I don't care for it. And all the blood being drained from that dude's body and just being placed right next to him without a single drip getting absolutely anywhere. Would that be possible? I mean, the Gemini Killer explains how he did it, but no. I don't think that'd be possible. That would be seriously impressive. The doctor that he's talking to is just straight up chain smoking, lighting one cigarette off the other. That is, you're not going to live very long. And then, yeah, I already kind of talked about that a lot. And talked about a lot of that. Oh, I like that Brad Dourif's character in this, during like the end of one of his monologues, ends it with saying something like, "This is child's play." I thought that was kind of a cute reference to a film that kind of popularized him in the horror genre, not only like 2 years previous, right? Like 88. So he would have been playing this role not long after that. God, he's freaking great in this. The old woman on the ceiling shot where Kinderman is walking around below her, it's a really cool shot. Not really exactly sure how they did it, but very, very cool stuff. The daughter almost getting killed, the blade going right around her neck, and the grandma just pulling her head out as it snaps closed. I thought that was a pretty cool looking sequence. And then, they're fighting, and she like has superhuman strength and is like knocking these dudes around. And then it just like the possession like immediately leaves her body, and you get these like awesome close up right here, just like this scene right here, close up on his like freaking yellow and red eyes, and here comes the priest through the door. And I guess this was an added sequence later. The studio demanded this because it's called The Exorcist and there was no exorcism. Supposedly Shout Factory, not supposedly, but Shout Factory did release some kind of a director's cut. I'd be curious to see that. I'd never have. But yeah, that would definitely be interesting to me. To see what all changed here. But I like the way this all plays out. There are some very odd scenes, like transitions, where it just goes from like a normal scene to like George C. Scott like against the door, like, oh my god, like, yeah. And you're like, whoa, this is a hard cut right here. Is there footage missing? I'm confused right now. And oh man, the exorcism does not go well. Holy shit, this dude is no Marin. He gets thrown up against the ceiling and then pulled down, and all of his skin rips from his his face and the back of his body. It's gnarly, man. And then Kinderman comes in and he pins him to the wall, and he has all this shit coming up out of the ground. But then we realize it's an illusion. And just last second, the priest comes alive, and I guess knocks him off of his game for a second, which Kinderman gets enough time to yell to Damien, like, fight it, and Damien fights it long enough to do it now, and he shoots him, and then he puts a gun to his head, boom, and then he buries him, and that's that. So yeah, I mean, it's a cool ass movie. Does it hold a candle to the first one? No, I don't think so. I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I've seen some people who dig this one and think it's the best in the franchise. I disagree with that, but it's a freaking, there's some great moments in this movie. There's some great performances and some fantastic moments. It just feels a little sloppy. The direction feels a little off, but in places the direction feels solid, but as I just guess as a cohesive film. Now, one can argue that could be studio meddling. They required an exorcism, they had to throw it in last minute, and that can't throw your film off. So I don't know, I'd like to see a director's cut, but for now, what I've seen of this movie, I dig it. I'm just really confused about the Kinderman and Karis relationship, and then why the Gemini killer looks the way he does in that. Like, that's just for us, right? Like, he doesn't ever see him looking like Brad Dourif in there, because he never makes mention of it. When he comes out of the cell, he straight up says, I think that is Father Karras. So that's where I'm just like, wait, but you saw two different men in there, so what am I missing? And all the different voices it can do, so it can kind of take on different voices, but different people, that's a new trick. So, I don't know. Explain it to me if I don't get it. Other than that, guys, I will do the beginning probably tomorrow. Adios.